So today I'm going to show you how to make a balloon-powered vehicle. Now to make a balloon-powered vehicle, you need a certain amount of supplies. What you're going to need for this project is 2 pieces of cardboard. They're going to be pre-cut, ready to use. You will have a wheel template, 4 wheels. You're in charge of cutting it out. Remember, the more around the wheel, the more likely the chance the vehicle is going to move. 2 pre-cut axles that you'll use to glue your wheels to. You will have at least 4 straws, 2 to hold onto the balloon and 2 more to make your axles out of. Do not lose these. A balloon, obviously to power it. Scissors to cut the straws and cut the template. And a glue gun to put everything together. Gets hot, don't be playing around with it. So you need to make a car and a van for this project here. I'm going to show you how to make the van. The car is almost similar to making the van. You start out with your base, you get a straw, and you put the straw where you want it to be and kind of center it up. Whatever's left over, hold it down, make a cut. So now the straw is the same length as your base. You're going to do this for the front and the back. The next thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to mark your base to where your axles are going to be. For this, you're going to need a ruler and a Sharpie. So you just measure on the line where you want your axle to be. I used 1/2 inch for mine. Do it on the first side, then do it on the other side as well. Then draw, take your ruler, put it across, make sure both lines even up, and draw it straight across. The next thing you want to do is you want to carefully put a thin line of glue, hot glue, across the line that you just made. So take your glue gun, put a thin layer across. Do it 1 axle at a time so you have time to set your straw down before the glue melts. Now when you put your straw in there, don't force it down on there, just gently set it on there and put it into place. The reason why you don't want to force it down, because the more you force it down, the more area of the straw is going to stick to your base. And the straw will then condense, which will not give the axle enough air time to spin inside. And if it doesn't spin, then your vehicle's not going to move. So we got the first side in. Now we're going to put the second side in. Again, don't force it down, just set it down gently and make sure it's in place, and then wait for it to dry. Now while you're waiting for the glue to dry on your base, you can start gluing your axles to your wheels. Now before you do anything, before you even start gluing, you want to try to find the center on your wheel so when it's spinning it's not bouncing or one side's worse than the other. To find a center, what you want to do is you want to take your wheel and put it on a piece of paper, trace the wheel onto the paper, and then cut your tracing out. Something like this. Then you're going to fold it in half once, fold it in half again. Then you're going to unfold it, and if you look, you can see where the cross happens, and right in the middle is where your center is. So you take your wheel, take the template. Lastly, get a pen or a pencil, something sharp, and poke a hole into the center. Just like that. And take your scissors and just kind of work it a little bit inside. Make the hole a little bit bigger. So after making the holes in your wheels, you then want to connect your axle to your wheel. To do this, you stick your axle through the hole that you just made. Make sure it doesn't go the whole way through so that it's sticking way out the other side, but just so you can barely see it come through. This allows for enough room for the axle to spin and not get stuck on the body of your vehicle. Now I already did this side, but to do this, you take your hot glue gun and you run a thin layer of glue around the connection between the axle and the wheel, something like this. As you guys can see, the hot glue gun has bonded the glue to the wheel and the axle. Then you put a little bit on the outside to hold it on the outside as well. Now after that, you then want to put the axles onto your vehicle. Now you don't want to glue the other wheel on yet because the axle has to slide through the straw to the other end. And once you do that, you take your wheel and carefully hold down on the straw on the axle and push the wheel on. Then take your hot glue gun and on the outside of the wheel, put a little bit of hot glue on there to bond everything together. Then sit back and let it dry. And what should happen after a few minutes is you should have an axle that spins very freely. If it's not spinning like this, odds are when your balloon is trying to power it, it's not going to move it at all. This needs to be almost frictionless. Now it's time to bond the straw to the balloon. To do this, you get your balloon. Now these are going to be brand new balloons, so you need to blow them up and let the air out a few times to allow for the elasticity to stretch out. So. Little humor there. So you do this 2, 3, 4, 5 times, however much you feel like you need to do. After you do that, you take your straw, take your balloon, and slide the balloon onto the straw. Next, get a little bit of duct tape and wrap the end of the balloon and the straw with the duct tape. Make sure it's sealed really tight. All right, as you can see, there's no way any air is going to escape through this side or this side. Everything's going to come out this point of the straw. The point of this is so when the balloon is blown up and then the air is let out, the air only shoots through the straw to allow the vehicle to get pushed forward. Now with your car, all you're going to have to do is just glue the straw with a balloon on it onto the base of the wheel like this, onto the base like this. But with your van, because it's longer, if you were to do that, you wouldn't have anywhere to actually put your mouth to blow up the balloon. And you don't want to actually put two straws together to do this because that area where the two straws connect is open, so some air is going to shoot out of there and it's going to lose pressure. So what you want to do is mark your base, your straw, onto your vehicle somewhere, something like this, to where you have enough room to blow on the straw to blow up the balloon, but at the same time don't put hot glue here and allow for the balloon to get stuck to it because it could possibly burn through the balloon rubber and then pop the balloon. So I'm going to take my hot glue gun, I'm just going to run a good sized bead right down the center of my van and take my straw and carefully set it on there. Now that everything's in place and the straw is glued to the axle and the base, you blow up the balloon through the straw, set it on the floor, and let it go. got yourself a well-working van. The last thing you're going to want to do to make your vehicle stand out a little bit is to put a little side addition onto the vehicle. For this, you can either draw one out, or you can go online, find a picture of a side view of any vehicle you want, and then print it out and paste it onto your vehicle. So I'm going to grab this van right here, I'm going to right click, save image as, and save it to my pictures folder. Then I'm going to X out of the internet of Google Chrome. Now I'm going to open up Microsoft Word. I'm going to go to Layout, Orientation, make sure Landscape is selected. Now I'm going to go to Insert, Shapes, and I'm going to draw a rectangle. Alright, it doesn't have to be any specific size right now because we're going to fix that. After drawing my rectangle, I'm going to right click on top of it and go to More Layout Options. And I'm going to go to Size, and I'm going to make sure that it's a 1/2 inch high and 8 inches wide. Okay. Now I'm going to put it towards the bottom of my paper, and then I'll go up to Insert, Picture, find my van, click Insert. Then I'm going to wrap text to square, and then make the van fit into the box, like that. And lastly, you're going to go to File, Print, and hit Print again. And now we go to our printer. Organizing everything. There we go. And then you have the first half of your van. Then you want to go back and flip the van so it's facing the other direction and print it that way, so then you have both sides of your van ready to glue on. The last thing you want to do then is glue the side of your van to the actual body. To do this, you just need a glue stick and just make a little layer, enough for some to stick to, down the side of the base of your vehicle. Make sure your paper is folded to where you want it. Then you stick it down onto the base of your vehicle. Now be careful the whole time. Don't push it and screw up the entire base. You don't want to go this far and then have to start over. And then voila. There is your balloon-powered van vehicle.